PowHER TV, lifestyle and leadership integrated, building a stronger nation, one woman at a time.
Ideas have always been the easy part for me. They come in waves with purpose and often spontaneously. I have a clear vision of what the results would look like, but execution is always the biggest challenge. Not enough time, not enough resources, not enough skill. I wonder what would happen if I could overcome these hurdles, harness these ideas, and see them come to fruition. I wonder what would happen if I gave myself permission to share and talk about my big ideas and to view my obstacles in a different light. This is PowHER TV. I'm Kate Bergen. Today, ecopreneur, nutritionist turned manufacturer Toni Desrosiers, inventor of Abigo, a reusable beeswax wrap that breathes. She talks on how collaboration is the new competition and how every idea needs to pass through one of two filters. Move Me, Jody Jackson, golf and performance coach, connects mind, body, and spirit. Fundamentals of the game, any game, balance, flexibility, and strength.
Have you got too much time on your hands?
Fuel Me, Sherry Strong, food philosopher, chef, and nutritionist. The myth you know about time and money.
Your life can be like a bowl of gourmet, kept fresh and alive kaleidoscope of organic collaboration.
And finally, our note to self, Steely Springham, inspirational conversationalist and coach, brings it all home, moving from inspiration into action. PowHER TV, this is what happens when Canadian women making an impact in sport, business, the arts, and community leadership come together. Inspire Me. Real-life stories and solutions from Canadian women who thrive in their fields. Passion, purpose, and power. We have it all. And we can be more powerful if we take that purpose and take that passion and use it to lead, to lift, and create. Made from jojoba, tree resin, hemp, and cotton, Abigo is available in more than 300 retail outlets across Canada and around the world online. Basically, it's a food wrap that's reusable, it keeps food living, and keeps your food fresher than you could have ever anticipated. Social entrepreneur and nutritionist turned manufacturer Toni Desrosiers knows firsthand the power that a female network has. Toni, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank
you received some financial assistance from an organization called CEO.
I did.
And what that organization did was ask 500 women across the country to contribute $1,000. And you received some of that financial assistance. How did it feel and what difference did it make to have that network of women lifting you up and supporting you like that?
It was overwhelming, to be honest. It was a very beautiful experience. I would say like the catalyst and the moment where I understood what had happened was at the gala at the end of the retreat when they announced us the 5 finalists and a room of 250 women stood up and like clutched their hearts and were like tearful and excited and joyful that they had given this huge opportunity to 5 women-led businesses.
Do you think it's hard as women for us to, first of all, ask for help and support that may already be available, and then secondly, to receive?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it can be. I think sometimes you don't really know what you have to ask. You don't know the questions you have to ask, and often what you think you need needs some development to find the right person. So we hesitate because we're not sure.
It has to be perfect before we ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was that your case?
In some cases, yeah. So at one point I had a loan through the Women's Enterprise Network, and I would say that's the one thing I underutilized was their services and resources and asking them to help my business. With CEO, it's completely different. They're there. They're saying, what do you need? How can we help you? How can we push your business forward?
Has that inspired you to sort of pay it forward?
Yeah, totally.
How do you do that?
The one thing that I've been working with a group of women is creating a brainstorming club. So rather than like a really structured entrepreneur group, we just meet and talk about a problem and just work it out. Women are really collaborative thinkers, so we can move through problems quite quickly when we just let go of the competitive side and just share.
It's a new approach to the entrepreneurial model. We've approached entrepreneurship in the past as very rigid and very outlined. You do this and you do this to get here, and you have to have it all figured out on your own.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you, and it's sort of a living case that that's not the way it has to be.
No, I don't think it does have to be that way. One of the women that won was one of the finalists, Alana. She said, collaboration is the new competition. And really that's what SheEO is doing. It's designed to lift all of the women up.
Was there ever a moment where you thought, I should be doing this differently? You have a very successful company, and there are lots of little steps to get you where you are today. Is there anything that you would have done differently?
I ask myself that every single day.
Still, to this day?
Every day, and I think I will for the rest of my life.
But you can stay confident in that process.
Yeah, it's part of a process.
Okay.
So entrepreneurship is all like, it's quite often viewed as an end goal. Where are you going?
Right.
And when you only think about where you're going, you kind of miss everything along the way. And now I focus on my obstacles a little bit differently.
How do you focus on your obstacles now?
Now as I move along and I see a big obstacle, I realize that the obstacle before it was smaller, and so I've developed a toolkit to deal with that bigger obstacle. So I give myself a little bit more permission to take risk, because now I trust that I have some back knowledge to move forward.
Is there any advice that you would give to ecopreneurs? Because you are an ecopreneur, which is a branch of entrepreneurship, because of your focus and passion on the environment. Is there something that you would say to people who have an idea, an inspiration to make a difference, but they're not quite sure what step to take? It's a big question, I know.
It is, yeah. I'm trying to think back on how it was for me. You know, when I invented Abigo, I didn't keep it a secret. I made a piece of fabric, coated it with beeswax, put it in my pocket, and talked to every single person I could about it. Asked them, what do you think of this? Would you use it? Is there a need? And I think when you have big ideas, you have to get them out in the world, and that's how the ideas actually become something that the world can use.
Was it being vulnerable in those moments, do you think?
Totally vulnerable.
Yeah.
We're told, patent, protect, secret. You know, it's all about keeping it to yourself until it's absolutely ready. Had I done that, I probably would never have launched Abigo the way I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more from Toni, tapping into the power of your mind for high performance. It's Move Me.
Welcome to Move Me. I'm Jody Jackson, and we're back on the golf course today to talk about 3 things in the golf game that would really help with your everyday living. One of them is the ability to balance, the second is flexibility or mobility, and the third is strength, and specifically core strength. I find a lot of players struggle with some of these elements and their golf game suffers, and I believe that if you're working on something in your golf game, you can apply it to your everyday life and benefit from that too. So I'm in a scenario here with chipping, couple 10 feet off the green here, and I'm definitely on a side hill lie where I need to have good balance and good core stability and a little bit of strength to make the shot. So on a side hill lie, you want to get those shoulders parallel to the ground under your feet, and the best way to do that is just kind of feel, you may be using the club like I am, what that angle needs to be. So balance, number 1 priority. The second thing we want to do is engage our core in our posture. Again, this is for stability overall, so I use a scenario or an analogy where I'm plugging in 2 electric cords, and I'm basically feeling that when I take my posture, I'm plugging in, and I can't unplug while I'm moving. So plug in that engagement in the core area, and then we're set to create that motion that we're looking for, which is a bit of strength, especially through the upper body for chipping, to make the shot. So again, we've got balance, we've got our core engagement, and a little bit of strength to make the shot just off the green. A little chip, and hopefully you get it close enough to get her down in 1. Okay, now we're on the tee box and hitting the big stick, and man, are they getting bigger by the day. Now, a lot of players ask me about getting more distance. And I'm going to go right back to the 3 fundamentals that we talked about earlier, that you need a stable base, so good balance. You need to have some serious flexibility and be able to rotate, and then a little bit of strength to put behind all of that. Stable base, set through the core to stabilize that energy that I'm going to put into the shot. All right. Oh yeah, baby. I'll take that one any day. So today we talked about 3 fundamentals to a really good golf game. 1 is balance, 2, flexibility, and the 3rd is strength. Not only will it benefit your game on the local links, but it'll definitely help for your everyday living, so you stay strong, balanced, and flexible for anything that comes your way. I wish you the best.
It's not always easy to focus on what you're passionate about. Life is full of multitasking in layers that can be pretty hard to manage on a simple day-to-day basis. Toni has been focusing her passion on Abigo since 2008. How do you harness what could be a very scattered nature of passion into your purpose with Abigo?
I'm fairly focused on the end result of educating people that food is alive, and to stay alive we need to eat living food, and that's how Abigo serves. So I actually have 2 guiding principles every time I make a decision. The first is it logical, and is it inspiring?
In keeping with your end goal.
In keeping with my end goal, and every decision I make. So if it's a new staff member, are they a logical fit? Are they inspiring? Is it a new process? Is it logical? Is it inspiring? And they both take equal weight, because that's how I think.
There's discipline in that, and in my experience, passion isn't always disciplined. It's pretty hard to bring that discipline in. So you say no.
I do say no
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Is that hard to do?
It was hard, but I quickly realized how going off from my focus and where I want to be, how expensive and how time-consuming that could be.
Do you find that passion is something that's hard to direct, even with those guiding principles?
Yeah. So I would describe myself as a ideas person, and I'm fully haunted by ideas. They are constant, and what I've learned about myself is that if it's not for me at this time, I have to give it to somebody else. So if I have a really great idea, but it's just not for Abigo, it's not for this time, I phone somebody or email someone I think it's for, and I say, you should consider this.
That goes right back to our earlier conversation, and a big purpose of what PowHERhouse, PowHER Talks, and PowHER TV does, the collaboration and the sharing and the lifting up.
Yeah.
And the creating. So you're working in networking.
Yeah.
How are those ideas received by women when you give them?
Sometimes great, sometimes not great. It depends. I mean, they're always open to hearing an idea, and it's usually just conversational. This popped into my mind. I thought of you, so I'm passing it your way. People are a little bit strange about ideas. There's a concept of ownership over ideas. So sometimes it's like, oh, is she gonna, want something from me? But what I've learned is that by giving away ideas, I actually clear my mind, the space in my mind, to do what I'm focused on.
Big ideas, lots of ideas. I love the concept of sharing those ideas and giving them away, letting go of the ownership. But the ideas are where the excitement is. Yeah. So the discipline, for me anyway, for the discipline that it takes to stay on purpose and stay focused, do you lose that excitement? Can you keep that energy up?
Sometimes. I would say for sure I thrive when there's big change happening, and when it's day-to-day monotonous, I start to get tired, and that's just not really my strong point. But what I'm teaching myself is to celebrate the process rather than just waiting to get to the end. So I celebrate my wins daily. Like something big happens, it gets a little celebration.
How do you handle losses?
I've always equated my losses, especially financial losses, to part of my education. So I don't have a business background at all. I've never been to school for it. So I call that tuition.
That is a great way to look at it. Food is absolutely a huge part of our everyday lives for every person, but how often do we think about the nourishment that it actually provides us? Fuel Me is next.
Have you got too much time on your hands? That is a big clock. And this is a good stash of cash. But what I find when it comes to food, people often use this and this as an excuse for not buying the stuff that is best for them. Now, your body is your most precious asset, you know that, and you need to invest in it. And so the great thing about buying organic and biodynamic is the most credible studies that are coming out now are showing that it's almost 40 to 60% higher nutrients. So a volume of cheap conventional food is not going to give you the bang for your buck that the nourishing, energizing, and protective organic and biodynamic foods are. The other thing you want to, when you're actually wanting to save time and money in the kitchen, you want to choose higher quality oils that are actually more expensive because they're cold pressed and naturally made, rather than their cheap alternatives that have lots of chemicals that have processed out those vital nutrients in it. Simple, counterintuitive that you spend more money on your dressing. You just need to use a drizzle on it, squeeze fresh lemon, a little bit of salt, or you can use apple cider vinegar instead of lemon, and you've got a flavorful dressing for a salad. You don't even need a recipe, and you definitely don't need to buy expensive dressings that are full of chemicals. The other thing with buying a really good cold pressed olive oil, it's going to cost you more, but you are going to get so much more bang for your buck in the sense that you're not going to get the nasty sickness and illness that can actually come from highly processed foods. So you want to think long term about your purchases. I was doing a food show in Australia. I used to white label olive oil in Australia. And a woman came up to me and she said, "Your olive oil is too expensive." She said, "If it was half the price, I would buy it." And I said, "I can't buy it for half the price. So it's not sustainable for me to be in business and do that." And I happened to notice she had a Prada handbag and some Gucci shoes on, and her kids were kitted out with mobile phones and dressed really well. Now, I'm not criticizing her because I've made the exact same decision at times where I've chosen to spend money on something that made me look good on the outside and neglected something that actually made me look good and feel good from the inside out. I've often asked people when they thought olive oil was too expensive if they drink wine for the same price bottle for bottle. So a $20 bottle of wine, $20 of olive oil. And they've said, "Yeah, I'll spend $20 on a bottle of wine." I said, "How long does that bottle of wine last you once you open it?" Most people, it doesn't last them the whole night. For a good bottle of olive oil that's $20, it's going to last you a couple weeks, if not a couple months, depending on how sparingly you use it. So it's just a matter of a flick of the switch in how we're thinking. Now, if you want to have more powerful tips, tools, strategies, and recipes to help nourish, energize, and protect your body, simply go to returntofood.com.
PowHER TV is a platform for women to inspire and be inspired. And sometimes we're in the middle of our purpose and our passion and following our paths, we run into obstacles and we begin to question, why are we even doing what we're doing, and maybe we should just stop. In business since 2008, what were some of the hurdles for a BIGO?
I would say the earliest hurdle was actually developing a BIGO. I had worked on it for 4.5 months and it wasn't working. And I was
you
frustrated.
had something in your mind that you knew you wanted, but you didn't know how to get to that point.
Yeah, I'd done lots of research. I'd visited tons of museums. I had read lots of stories about, how we made things before synthetics, and it just really wasn't working. And I remember sitting on my kitchen floor just crying, thinking like, what is the purpose? I was working 8 hours a day and then working on this for 12 hours a day. So that was my earliest hurdle.
Was the self-talk that I can't do this?
Yeah, it was more like, what's the point? It's not working.
What kept you going?
I got to do something else. It didn't leave me. It didn't leave. So like I said, I have a lot of ideas, but this one was so constant, and just, I'd wake up in the night and it would just be with me all day, and I realized I just had to do it.
What was another hurdle?
I think the second biggest hurdle in my business was having my child. So I had Parker 3 years ago, and being pregnant and working in my business full time, we had like a car seat in the shop that I would sleep on because I'd be so tired. And then just having her.
I thought
and
you were
then,
going to say a car seat for Parker.
No,
but
like
this is for
literally
you.
a seat out of our van in the shop so I could sleep.
Yeah.
And then when I had her, I had to work from home, so I had to be away from the action in the business, which was very difficult. So what I learned from that is how important like process and a manual was. Because
A manual,
because if I'm for everything that happens in the business, because all of a sudden I was out of it, and my husband had stepped in to take over, but he didn't have the tool kit to make it run the way it needed to run.
Was it hard to prioritize? I need to be at home with my child, or I need to be writing this manual or doing it because there isn't a manual?
I left the manual. Parker is a very independent little girl, and she loved to spend time on the floor staring in a mirror, playing. So I actually had time to work from home. But yeah, it was totally hard, but the choice was obvious. I had a little human that needed attention.
Do you spend much time anticipating what hurdles might be coming? You said earlier you kind of live in the moment, but there's living in the moment and being aware and prepared for what's coming down the road.
Yeah, I do plan. I do plan a little bit ahead. Like financially, I plan, and like I said, we have a foundation manual, so I've planned for the worst case scenario. What happens if Toni Desrosiers gets hit by a bus? Can a Bigo keep going? Because it has to keep going. So
why does it have to keep going?
The world just needs it. It just needs it. We need to, I think that beyond storing food, it's changing people's minds and it's changing their relationship to food, and that's what we need to do.
It's a paradigm. It's a mind shift.
Totally.
Yeah. So what hurdle would come next then, do you think?
I don't know. I think my next hurdle is...
You're looking at growing and expanding?
I'm growing and expanding, and I'm developing new products. So I have 2 new products to launch, and that's now a big hurdle because I'm back to the invention, the creating phase, which I've been away from for a while.
Do you like being in that phase?
I do, yeah.
There's something about hurdles that make us rise. You don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong enough to rise above it. Okay, for people who want more information on Abigo, what's the best way to do it?
So you can go to our website. It's abigo.com, and that's the easiest way to find everything you need to know about us.
Okay, we have a little thing that we're going to start doing. We have a turtle on our set, and we're going to pull out little words of wisdom. We're calling them Power Bites, and we weren't originally going to have you participate in this, but we're going to ask you to choose a Power Bite and share the knowledge that might be there for us. There's several. They're handwritten.
Okay.
Okay.
This is my
and these are words of wisdom that we're going to leave you with today.
Okay. Strong women lead themselves first.
There you go. That's your Power Bite for today.
I like that.
Life in general might be like a box of chocolates. You settle for what happens to be inside the box. That emptiness from settling cannot sustain you and will leave you unnourished. Instead, your life can be like a bowl of gourmet, kept fresh and alive kaleidoscope of organic collaboration. Life really is more like a gourmet garden salad where you choose the quality of what goes into your bowl of life, not leaving it to chance. That is how much power and impact you have into what you serve up in your life. Each and every time you boldly add vibrance and zest to your bowl of life, you create a memorable experience for yourself and for others. By consciously choosing quality in every area of life, you will enhance your relationship with people and food. You are what you consume, so life should be lived with a feed and be fed philosophy in every area, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Note to self: feed and be fed, mind, body, and soul.